for being with us today for Joy in Our Town. I'm your host, Deborah Garrett, and today for our show we're going to be talking about a very important issue to our town here in Montgomery. I'm going to be speaking with Miss Emily Cosgrove from the Huntingdon College with the Career and Vocation Center, and we'll be speaking about college students' transition to the business world. Emily, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
What are some of the things that college students need to know about job searching today?
I think some of the most important things that college students need to know is that once you get out of the really comfortable college environment that you're in, there's a whole big world where people do not know you. So the most important thing that students need to start doing now is preparing for the challenge that's going to be ahead. If they're applying to graduate school, if they're choosing to apply for different jobs, they need to go ahead and start maintaining a professional mindset of sorts, the way that they represent themselves online in their classes. Any sort of presentation that they do, it's really important for them to start having a professional mindset and also to be aware of the competition and the economic background that's going on in our climate today. Students really need to be aware of some of the challenges that are available. Jobs are not extremely plentiful. It's a buyer's market, so a lot of jobs are being condensed. Pay is lower. So adjusting your expectations to what's going on and then being willing to work hard and prepare for what you need to do to be employable is really important.
That's so true, and I know, so as a college student myself, I know some people, when they're in college, they're so busy with all their classes and everything else going on, they kind of almost forget that you're going to have to start prepping for that. What are some of the ways that people can do their job search when they're starting to look out for a job?
To begin your job search, you really need to have a good idea of self-awareness for yourself. It's a wonderful time to be in college. You're learning and you're exploring and you're trying different things and, like you said, getting involved in activities, which is extremely important for your development, but you also need to start considering how you want to take the things that you enjoy, the skills that you have, and apply them in some sort of meaningful way in your life. So the things that students can do to start preparing for their job search is to really take an inventory of what they're interested in and begin considering possibilities for how they can apply those skills. They can go visit their different career centers. They can meet with mentors if they have any. They can meet with different professors, friends who are older, alums of the college. There's a large network that's available for students as they begin their search, but it's really important for them to kind of start narrowing down ideas through their first couple of years of college and then really start gaining experience in some way. Right. In order to be marketable once you leave college, you want to have a good GPA, you want to have involvement, you want to have leadership experience, you want to show employers you have critical thinking skills and you're adaptable. But some of the most important things that soon-to-be college grads can bring to the table is experience in some way. Internships, shadowing, informational interviews, attending guest lectures on your campus or in the community and getting to know people can be monumentally important because it's not quite as impressive if you were the president of a club in college, but you're applying for a job and have no real skills to apply there, and they know that they'll have to spend time and money training you, where then there's 10, 15, 50 other people here who already have the skills necessary to do the job today.
And I know some people, they don't do the volunteer activities, don't do the extracurriculars. How critical is that really when people are applying, as you know, having been hired yourself before and all those different things?
If you're taking the graduate school route, things like that are particularly important because they want to see a well-rounded applicant. And while you want to specialize or have something that's really special about you that stands out to them, they're looking for the leadership skills and the involvement and interest in your community because ultimately what they're looking for are lifelong learners. And you can take that also into your job search. You want to be a lifelong learner. You are interested in building that company to be the best that it can be, not for your own benefits. You're not immediately concerned with how it can be a benefit to you, but what you can give back, what you can learn, and what you can apply in a teamwork, collaborative effort with that company. So for students who aren't necessarily interested in leadership opportunities or community service isn't necessarily their thing, I would tell them to really consider what they care about. Community service doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go to the Humane Society with a group of students or whatever it is. If you're really passionate about the homeless or education or substance abuse or clothing accessories, whatever it is that you're really passionate about, there's a way to take that and make it useful in some way. You can do a clothing drive and donate that somewhere. It's really important to be community-minded now. If you're not, what is your real purpose?
That's so
Do you
true.
want to gain a lot of money? Do you want to make the world a better place? Do you want to better yourself? And ultimately, through studies and research that are done, by volunteering in some way, you are bettering yourself and bettering the community. So it's really important just to find out what you're passionate about and apply that in some way.
I think that's such a good point. I think too that a lot of students do need to think about, overall being well-rounded. I know, at schools that, kind of promote the community service and they have a lot of activities that's really good for them. Now, students who are at colleges, we have so many colleges here in Montgomery. We've got Faulkner, we have AUM, and all these other schools. What is important for students to know that they don't have the same benefits that other colleges has? They don't have the Career Vocation Center like we have at Huntingdon. What would you say to them?
For the students who don't readily have things available, I would tell them to seek different things that are in the community. I know some churches are beginning career centers in some way where they'll help with resume preparation, interviews. I would tell students to really start considering their network. Even if you're a freshman in college and it doesn't occur to you, you do have a network. You have parents or family members or family friends, they have contacts in some way. So as soon as you're able to really determine some different things you would like to pursue, that's how you can really begin as well. An informational interview is a wonderful way to set something up, and it's pretty much just contacting someone. Hi, I'm a student. I'm really interested in this field. I know that you are working in this field and doing these different things. I would really love to meet with you and learn about your office and different things that you do. Things like that can be a great way to get you out there and explore different things that are available. If you're able to meet with that person, there's a propensity that they could become a mentor as well, and they can help provide some of the things that maybe a career center could if you had that available on your campus.
I think that's so true. And I think another thing too that a lot of students need to think about as well is that internships a lot of time lead to a job, even at the place you're interning with, and that's also another big help. What's a way that students can have a kind of a lead, I guess, or kind of a step ahead other students who are also as well maybe looking in the same fields as them when they're looking for jobs?
I think, like you just mentioned with internships, it really goes back to the experience that you have and what you're able to apply to that field. The more experience that you have, the more you're able to grow and apply those things in different ways. So I would tell students to really think about what makes them more marketable. If you're going into a particular field, for instance, you're on this television show, you've probably had to practice your dictation, make sure that you speak articulately, make sure that your notes are prepared, make sure that all these different things are taken care of so that you'll be successful in this field. Personal appearance is incredibly important. If you want to go into a particular field but you find that maybe you do not enjoy dressing in a suit or you don't fit with that particular environment, that's something to really consider as well. So ultimately, with everything going back through the job search process, it really comes down to your self-awareness. It's important in college not only to have fun and make friends and do all these things, but really take time to explore your classes, meet with professors, attend different cultural events on campus to figure out who you are, what's important to you, why you want to work, what kind of environment you prefer. And you can really start to make all this information come together, and it can give you a lot of really good insight into what would be the best field for you to pursue.
That's so true. And I think that that's a really good point about, doing the internship or shadowing somebody is such a good way to figure out if that's what you want to do. If that's really, because I know so many students, they change their major so many times and they're trying to figure out what is a career field for me? What am I supposed to do? And so I think that that's a great way for them to find out, is this where I'm supposed to be led to do my job and to figure out what they're passionate about in their life? Because that's ultimately, I think, like you're saying, what really helps students and what they want to do.
Absolutely. We talked about informational interviews. Job shadowing is wonderful because you don't necessarily have to commit to 40, 90, 160 hours as you would an internship. You could shadow someone for a day, for a week, and you could shadow 3 completely separate businesses and professionals, and that's a wonderful way to just try on different careers and ideas and see what works for you. I think absolutely.
Now there's a lot of common things that a lot of people do wrong when they're in interviews, when they're applying on resumes, when they're filling out applications. What are some big things that students need to watch out for or need to keep in mind about resume writing?
One of the most important things is one of the most basic. You need to make sure to edit carefully. Not everyone is an English person, not everyone enjoys writing, but ultimately that piece of paper represents who you are before they get to see you in an interview and see how charming you are and how wonderful you are. If there are grammatical errors or mistakes of any kind on your resume, you're immediately going to the bottom of the pile. So I would tell students, if they have someone in a career center that they can meet with. Otherwise, find friends, find family members, find anyone of any sort. You want people to edit and look at your resume and give you ideas of what may be wrong or incorrect. You're going to have about 17 to 30 seconds for someone to scan your resume and determine if they're interested in pursuing you or not. It needs to be well spaced, it needs to be well formatted, it needs to be quick and easy for them to read, but also highlight the skills, the experience, the different things that you have that matter most to that employer. That's another thing with the climate right now. You need to tailor every single interview, every single resume to the skills and things that you have that are applicable to that specific job. So I would tell students to pay attention to the grammatical errors, but also really pay attention to what that employer is wanting. Easy ways to do that are to go online, contact secretaries for these different organizations for the jobs and ask them what they're looking for. They can send you a job description. And through that, it'll give you keywords. They want someone who has 3 to 5 years of experience in this. If you don't have 3 to 5 years of experience and there are 400 other people applying for this job, this probably might not be the job for you. You might want to look at exactly what they want and figure out how you can attain those things so that you would be applicable for more jobs of that nature. So I tell students, grammatical errors, make sure that what you have to say is relevant and well polished, and really fitting to what the employer is looking for, the recruiter is looking for. As far as interviewing, make sure to really represent yourself well. On a regular basis, it's important to do that because you never know who you're going to interact with. But particularly in an interview, you want to appear conservative and well put together and extremely polished in the way that you speak, the way that you interact, the way that you just kind of represent yourself. So students can start practicing that now. They can conduct mock interviews on campus at Huntingdon, but these shadowing opportunities, informational interviews, going to Dillard's and asking someone what an appropriate suit is for a job interview. There are people who are trained and can help you prepare for things like that. So really knowing the climate, it's kind of like learning how to play baseball. Once you learn the appropriate outfit, the appropriate attire, the appropriate way to interact with people, and some of the tips, you want to apply for a job with enough, I guess ultimately you want to arrive on time, you want to have everything set up in a particular way, and remember that no matter who you're interacting with at the interview, whoever that is might have a say. The secretary for some of these companies can know within 30 minutes of meeting you if they're going to hire you or not. So really paying attention to how you represent yourself is important as well.
Well, Emily, thank you so much. That's so many great words of advice for us about career and vocation. And thank you for being with us for Join Our Town. And be sure to stay tuned for our next segment.